Hello and welcome to our new YouTube channel. We are powerdriveev. Please follow us. I'll put a link in the description down below, or you can go to our website or find us on Facebook. Let's get stuck in. We get asked a lot of questions doing what we do by all sorts of people. Some very negative, some positive, some people are just very interested. I just wanted to go through a couple of those questions with you guys today. So the big one that we get asked all the time, how much is a conversion? So how big's your wallet? Pretty much, it's you could spend £200,000 doing a conversion if you bought quite an expensive car and you want to run high power, high range, and you want all the charging capabilities and all the toys. But obviously the one I want to concentrate on is how little can you do a conversion for. And that's kind of where I'd like to think we come in. We offer basically kind of a base platform conversion, which is very similar to what's going to be in the Mini. We're going to be looking anywhere between 20 to 30,000-ish. Again, it all depends on what you'd want out of it. If you want more range, it's going to cost more. You're going to need more batteries. If you want more power, it's going to cost more because you need a higher end motor, which obviously costs more money. It's difficult. I mean, if you do it yourself at home, you can do a conversion for as little as, sub 10 grand. It should be doable. But again, it's a lot of work to put in. It's a lot of time to put in. It's a lot of research to put in. You've got to source all the components. You're not going to get very high-end components in that budget. It's difficult, but obviously we want to try and encourage everyone who wants to get into this kind of thing. Obviously, we're a business from it. There's a lot of other conversion specialists out there, some of which I know, some of which I need to. I'll give you guys a call soon. And it's, we want to make a living from this. But it's not fair to basically deprive everyone who wants to do these things at home the information they need. Some of it may be quite basic. It may just jog your memory and you think, oh God, yeah, that's how that works. But other times, some people do need some guidance. No one knows everything. I don't know everything. So it'd be nice throughout the course of all of these videos that we're going to do, just to give everyone at home a bit of a chance to kind of do things for themselves. And kind of just let you learn a bit along the way, hopefully. That's our kind of main thing we want to gain from doing these videos. We want to share it with you. We want to show you what we do. We want to show you how to get things done. And that's pretty much the gist of it. So back to my original question that we get asked a lot, how much is a conversion? It can be as much as you want it to be. To be honest, that's pretty much the basic answer. If someone came to us, said, hello, can you convert a car for us? Okay, what's the car? How much range would you like? Would you like rapid charging capability? Would you like type 1, type 2? Would you like CCS? Would you like how much power? Would you want, what car is it? Obviously, if it's a Mini or something equally small, a Mark 1 Golf, an old Fiat 500, there's not a lot of room, so you are limited by what you can put in the car. So it's a question, we're continually going to get asked all the time. It's a question that's always going to be there. It's never going to go away. I just hope that kind of gives everyone a bit of an indication as to pricing and things like that, and hopefully that clears a little bit of that up. So the next thing that we get asked all the time, do you sell a kit to convert such and such car? There are kits out there. If you've got either a camper or a Beetle, there are kits out there to get you going on a conversion. Obviously, it's not going to be, here's a load of bits, here's some batteries in the motor, bolted all together and it works. All of these kits still have some element of DIY to do, little bits you have to make, modifications to make, and it's all then down to the end user, i.e. you, at home, as to how you want to do things. But again, with the kit, if you do buy a kit, you're limited by what they've developed that kit with. So the most common one is HPEVs, motors and controllers. So they're really easy to use, fantastic bit of kit. But you're limited on power, slight functionality, quite old school when it comes to the programming side of things. But it's what you expect when you pay 7, 8, 9 grand for a kit to convert your car. So we don't sell kits. Every car that we do or will do, have done, is a one-off. And that's kind of the way I'd like to keep it. I may, with little bits with this Mini, I may do, some motor brackets, adapter brackets, engine mounts, should I say motor mounts, maybe a battery box of some sort. But again, it's, if I develop a battery box for the battery I'm putting in this car, that may not necessarily suit you guys for what you might want to put in the car. You might want to use a different battery system. You might want to use a different motor. You might want to use a different controller, charger, DC. So again, with the kits, they are out there for very limited amount of cars. But we don't do them. I can't see us doing them in the near future. That may change in time to come. I'm not going to rule out the idea altogether. But at the moment, we don't sell a kit for any vehicle, but we can obviously lend a hand. If people are trying to source components and things like that, we can point you in the right direction and send you to some of the suppliers that we use, if that's any help. So hopefully that clears up that regularly asked question. So following on from that, the other question that we get asked a lot, how long does it take? Again, how long's a piece of string? It all depends. If you've got a car that's it's been fully restored, and it's been there's no engine in there, it's all been stripped out, ready to do. Obviously, that's going to cut back time on how long it takes to convert. Obviously, our Mini behind me, that needs some restoration work doing, so that's going to eat into our timeline of converting it, because it's work that we had foreseen some of, but we didn't expect it to need quite so much. So time frame on average, it's an estimate of somewhere in the region of 3 months, give or take a month. If it's kind of a never been done before, it could take 6 months, it could take 9 months, it could take a year to convert a car, depending on how complex and how much you want going on. So that's pretty much, again, the answer to that. And I'm noticing that my answers are very vague. And that's because they are. There's no set time that you can do this stuff in. And it is just it's very difficult to gauge without having done a specific vehicle before. So if someone in 6 months' time, if someone came to us and said, oh, can you do a Mini the same way you did yours? Yep, no problem. We could probably turn that around in 2 months because we've done it. But obviously, most of these things, it's a first. It's a first time. So we did Land Rover once, and that was an interesting one. The system that went into that, it was all designed from scratch. That took about a year to do. So again, it all depends on where you're starting from, what vehicle it is, has it been done before, has that system been using that vehicle before, and are you are you competent with using that system, wiring that system, layout, mounting everything. So it's complicated to give a definitive answer. I know for a lot of people it's quite important. You want to be able to say, right, it's going to take 3 months. So you then go, okay, in 3 months I get my car back, it's electric, I can go and drive it. Time frames do differ, so it is a difficult one to answer. We along with everyone else that does this, we try and give our closest answer that we think we can do the job in. If it goes over, it's one of those things, unfortunately, that has to be expected doing these kind of jobs, because you're completely redesigning a car, every aspect of it, the driveline, the electronics, the layout. A lot of cars, unfortunately, have to be quite heavily modified to get the battery and motor systems in them that people might want. So time frame is a problem, unfortunately, but it's something we will try and stick to. Obviously, someone comes to us and we say 3 months, we will do our utmost to keep within that 3 months. But it's something we would tell any customer, anyone that comes to us at any time, is just to have a slight expectation of maybe missing a deadline by maybe a week, maybe a couple of weeks. But obviously we would do everything in our power to keep within that deadline. And that's pretty much the gist of that as well. So cost wise, it can be pretty much anything. Time frame can be pretty much anything. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's questions that we get asked a lot all the time. That's about as good an answer as I can think of. So the other thing, I'd like to thank everyone that's followed us so far. It's been absolutely fantastic. We've had messages, emails, phone calls. It's gone a little bit off the scale, to be honest. It's a bit more than I expected. But the other good thing about that is it's been really nice to hear other people's opinions. Not all of it's positive, as you can expect. You know, we do get some negative comments. You know, why are you doing this to these cars? What's the point? Why is it so expensive? You're mad. It's to be expected. And that's another thing that we want to address in the videos that follow this one, is we want to try and find out why people have those negative feelings towards conversions. Obviously, a lot of them are quite obvious. A big thing with classic vehicles is originality. Obviously, converting to electric, you're pretty much destroying all originality about that car. So you know, the purists do hate us. It's to be expected. We know that. But at the same time, we get so many positive comments of people saying that we're doing fantastic work, that they really want to get us, you know, have some involvement with it. They want to see what we do. They want to see what we can build. And it's great. It's absolutely fantastic. So I just thought we'd do this first video, quite, you know, calm and collected, just a little introduction basically to us, and just try and give you guys a quick overview of, you know, who we are, where we've come from, what we've done in the past, and basically just try and go into the general plan with this Mini. So I started out, officially started the company up last year. Before that, I worked for a company in Malvern for about 2.5 years doing EV conversions. Obviously, I can't really mention those because I was under their employment, so it's the credits to them, not myself. So, but I have done a few, and it's been great. It's been a fantastic learning curve, which obviously is the only way to learn this stuff, is just do it. We've hit a lot of problems along the way, but the reason I wanted to start doing this Mini is because I've basically, I say developed, it's not my development, it's other people's developments, but I've come up with a system of components that works well. It's quite straightforward to wire if you've done it before, and it's reliable. The battery modules we use are Nissan Leaf. So for the Mini in particular, we're going to be using Gen 2 Nissan Leaf modules. So we've got 48 of these to try and cram into this car. So you can just kind of see the struggle we're going to have there. So if I hold that up against the window, you can kind of get a gauge as to how big these are. And we've got to try and cram 48 of these into this car. So that alone is quite a task. And that's the reason we picked a Mini, actually. If you can convert a Mini with decent range, decent power, good charging capabilities, and still keep it as a fun little car, because I love Minis. I know a lot of other people out there love Minis. So keeping this car fundamentally fun to drive, try and keep the weight down as much as we can is important. And it's just basically trying to figure out how we can cram all of this into the smallest car that I've ever worked on. So we are going to use all 48 modules because we're determined to get 24 kilowatt hours in this Mini. Got a few ideas already, just to try and fit them mainly in the back, but then we thought about weight distribution, about having some in the back, some in the middle. Obviously in the front you've got the weight of the inverter, the motor, the reduction gear, There will be an onboard charger in the front, as well as a DC-DC converter as well. So that should keep the weight relatively even. We're just trying to figure out at the moment how we can keep distribution kind of level. It's never going to be perfect. This car is going to weigh more than it used to, but that's a given. You're putting an entire Nissan Leaf's worth of battery in it, so that's going to weigh more than the fuel tank. So it's to be expected. It's going to be heavier, but it's also going to have roughly twice the power output. So we use an aftermarket ECU to control the Leaf's inverter via CAN bus. It's a lot better. I've done a conversion before where they wanted to put the entire Nissan Leaf wiring loom into a vehicle. It was a nightmare. Simplest way of putting it, it was an absolute nightmare to try and keep every component that it needed to work, and it just becomes a problem. You end up with a million connections, you've got wires everywhere, most of which you don't think you need, but obviously the ECUs won't work without it. So to anyone who is thinking about just getting a Nissan Leaf, taking it to bits and putting it into another car, I would ask you to think twice about it. I've done it. It's not an easy task. But again, it depends how properly you want the job done, to be honest. If you want it just thrown together, you could just lay the wiring loom through the car, plug in what you need to, and it'll work. But it won't be a tidy job. It'll probably never pass an MOT. So it's all, it's trying to keep everything safe and, just nice in general. It's got to be nice to look at. You don't want wires everywhere. And bits hanging out all over the place. It's just not good. So that's the general plan with the Mini anyway, is to just try and use a Nissan Leaf as a donor, which a lot of people have said it has been done before, and yes, it has been done before. I've seen various pictures of a Mini with a Nissan Leaf inverter and motor setup in the front. I can't tell from those pictures whether it was using the original reduction box from the Leaf or whether they adapted it to the Mini's gearbox somehow. So I don't know if it's ever been done and finished, but we're hoping to do this one, get it in there, get it working, get it finished. And it'll kind of be our shop car for a while. So the idea is we can take this out, take it to shows, we can drive around in it, go to the shops in it, and just get the word out there a little bit. So it will have a big sticker in the back window, I imagine, with our company logo on. So people can just find out who we are. They can talk to us about it, ask us how we did it. And yeah, but the other important thing that I really do want to integrate onto this Mini is rapid charging. So it's something that not a lot of conversion specialists do. I don't know why. It's not that difficult to do, especially when you run a battery management software that can do it all for you. It's just a little bit of extra wiring, 2 extra contactors. It's not that hard to do, and the benefits are fantastic, especially if you've got a sub 40 kilowatt hour battery where you haven't got 150, 200 miles of range. So if you want to go long distance, you can. So you can drive 70, 80 miles, stop at a service station, charge up your car, half an hour, go and have a coffee, come back, carry on with your journey. So these cars, they're not really ever made to be usable. Most of them have 3.3 kilowatt or 6.6 kilowatt onboard chargers. I've seen some with the 22 kilowatt onboard chargers that do 3-phase, but that's rare. You don't see that very often because they are expensive, those chargers. But it's just something we think is very important to get onto this car, is rapid charging. So it will have rapid charging. It will have 24 kilowatt hours worth of battery. I'm determined to get this battery in this car, no matter what it takes. And other than that, it's quite a simple setup after that. We've got 6.6 kilowatt, get the terminology right, charger that's going in this. We've got a DC-DC converter. Obviously, for those of you that might not know what all of these components are, your DC-DC converter pretty much acts like your alternator on your original engine. So when the engine's running, the alternator's turning over, creating an AC current. It then gets transformed to a DC current, which trickle charges your 12 volt battery. electric vehicles do still need a 12-volt battery to be able to turn on the high voltage battery. And obviously that 12-volt battery does need charging because it still runs your lights, your wipers, your heated rear window, electric, anything that you have in a car has to run off the 12-volt system. So you need a way of charging that from your high voltage battery, and that's what a DC-DC converter is for, just to keep your 12-volt battery topped up. Like I say, does the same job as your alternator. It's probably one of the cheapest components to put on these conversions. In all honesty, they're about £400, maybe a little bit more with shipping, but compared to everything else in this, that's pretty cheap. The only other item that's maybe close to that is the ECU that we're using to run. So I've actually got one here. It's a Thunderstruck EV ECU. Some chaps over in America have done a fantastic job making these, and they're only $500 plus shipping, obviously, because it's coming from the US. But this will control various things on the inverter. So you have your throttle input, you have your gear selector input. This talks to the inverter via CAN bus, and it'll also do a pre-charge function, which is very important. Again, for those that don't know, pre-charge is basically when you turn on a high voltage circuit, when you've got say your motor here, you've got your motor sat here with no voltage in it, and you've got 400 volts in your battery over here. If you just turn contactors on between your battery and your motor, you have a surge of current which is bound to blow capacitors and various other bits. You probably end up with some magic smoke, which everyone loves with electric cars. So basically, pre-charge is a way of slowly feeding energy through and bringing the voltage up in either the charger, motor, DC-DC, any component that comes after the contactors of the battery. It's just a way of bringing that voltage up very slowly until it's level with the battery. Then either your negative or positive contactor will close depending on which one is doing the pre-charge. And that's basically all it is. So very, very important thing to have on these systems, especially anything over about sort of 72, 96 volts. You need a pre-charge circuit. Otherwise, you're just going to end up blowing stuff up, which I've seen. It's not fun. It's quite dramatic when stuff 400 volts goes into something that goes bang. It's not nice. So it has that functionality as well. So that's very important that we've got that. So we're using Nissan inverter and motor, which I can actually show you over here. So down here you can see obviously our inverter and motor. That's just a terminal cover to go on top. So you can see your main plug on the front here. So we have the wiring harness that goes to this. You only need about 4 or 5 pins in here, and your encoder pins, obviously, which is round on the side of the motor down here. Other than that, you just have an ignition live, a ground, and CAN go into that. Fairly straightforward, really easy to wire up. And then you just have your positive and negative terminals on the top there. You can see. Don't worry, I have discharged this with a capacitor, so it's not going to zap me. And then while we're here, actually, I may as well just show you around the Mini very quickly. So you see most of the Mini has been taken to bits, and we have found some rather nasty holes in various places. There should be some metal there. So we've got to get some repair panels, basically. Not to worry though, it's to be expected with a almost 40-year-old car. It's gonna have rust in it. So in all honesty, I'm actually quite glad, because now's the time to pick it up and get it sorted, and we can fix it, and then we can concentrate on the conversion side of it. So another thing I wanted to address, obviously we would love to hear from you guys. Anyone out there who's converting their own car, have converted their own car, looking at converting their own car. We want to hear from you. We want to hear, ideas. If we can be of assistance in any way. Tell you about things we've done before, things that you've tried may have not worked, things that we've tried before that haven't worked, and just try and gauge what people are thinking with these conversions. And like I said, I'll put a link in the description and you can drop us an email, give us a call, visit our Facebook page, visit our website, keep up with us. Obviously, you can follow our YouTube channel, you can follow our Facebook page, and just, yeah, keep in touch. We will be uploading more videos soon. Eventually, when this actually hasn't got loads of holes in it. So yeah, once we're up and going and we've actually started doing some of the conversion work, we'll be uploading videos, basically just showing you how we're doing things, wiring, things like that. Maybe some wiring diagrams in there as well for those that might be interested. And yeah, any components that we use, I'll put links in the description as well. So you can find those. If you see something we use that you think, oh wow, that's perfect for what I'm doing, we'll put a link in the description and you can just click on that, go to their site, hopefully get what you need. Fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a first for me doing any kind of YouTube series, so there'll be more to come. Hopefully I'll be a little bit better on the camera by then, but yeah, we look forward to it, and we hope you guys do too. Thanks. Bye.